did. I may or may not listen to it. So no, we are. All right. Davar sheyesh lo matirin. I want to dive in. We're in Siman Kuf Bet in your idea. I want to dive in with what do I have in my thing? With the Taz, because I want to dive in with Shitat Rashi and Shitat Ran, right? The two different versions of why is Davar sheyesh lo matirin not batel, right? This is a third category. I think that we've seen of things that are not batel, the other two being birya and chaticharia leit gabed. Um, and so why this one is different in many, many ways. But there's two major shitot. So let's start here. Max, since you Reuven, you have a hand. Are you something you want to read
I'm
first?
sorry, very, very quickly, because Rav Nachum also mentioned Davar Chashuv as what it sounds like a separate category. Is that a separate category? Is it subsumed under
Right.
the Hit Kabed or
So Devar Chashuv might be a broader category, and remember that there is some debate as to is Birya. I think I maybe have talked about this. Maybe I didn't do a good job. Is Birya, um, so birria, because of the fact it's not batel, birria, you are, if you eat a birria, the oraita, you're chayav from malkut, right? Even if it's less than kazait, right? That's the whole kind of basis for birria. And the question is the fact you get malkut because a birria is davar chashuv, or is it davar chashuv, right? Because you get malkut. Which way does it go? And so Isbir under Dara Chashuv. Chadicharia Kabed seems to be the Chashivut, is what makes it not Batel. Devar Minyan, which we're going to see also might be about Chashivut. Bali Chayim not being Batel might also be about Chashivut. So those Chashivut, I think, is maybe Rav Nachum's here. He can tell us. Chashivut is am I recording? I am. Chashivut is a broader category, and some of these might be subcategories. Devar Sheyesh Matrim, there's no shita I know of that thinks this is part of Hashivut, and that might explain some of the differences here, right? This is its own category of not batel, and that's why I wanted to see that there's two possible reasons of why things are. But the ones we've seen, right? We've talked about Hashivut, but neither Hatichari Ali Kabed nor Birya was directly, well, Hatichari Ali Kabed is absolutely about Hashivut, whether or not Birya is about Hashivut, or it is Hashuv because of Birya, and Birya is the fundamental piece of it is a question. So even though,
okay, thank you.
yeah, even though if you notice, right, the Mechaber and the Tur in Kuf and Kuf Aleph do really in Kuf Aleph do put Chadichari Leit Kabed and Birya very closely together, right? The two of them have very similar dinim. They almost seem to be two branches of one category to some extent. So um, all very different in size potentially, if nothing else, right? Not all birrias are small, but birrias is often are a small bird, right? Is the example in the Gemara, one of the examples in the Gemara. So I wanted to look at the Shitat Rashi and Shitat Ran, which we get in the Taz. So like, why not? So Reuven, since you volunteered, if you look in Kuf Bet Sif Katan Aleph in the Taz, Kol Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin. And
Yes, let me
what? Yeah,
just okay, so starting with Aleph and the Taz.
yeah.
Okay. כל דבר שיש לו מתירין, מדאורייתא חד בתרי בטל, דכתיב אחרי רבים להטות, והחמירו רבנן, הואיל ויש לו מתירין, לאחר זמן לא יאכלנו באיסורו על ידי ביטול. Rashi Parak debates it. This is exactly Rashi's
Hmm.
explanation in the Gemara of what this is. So on a Deraita level, right, on a Deraita level, Chad Batre Batel, there's Bitul Barov, which we derive from Acharei Rabim Lahatot, but the rabbis were Machmir because of Kol Davar Sheish Lamatiri.
Well,
Um,
why? Because what's the reason? He gives like a full philosophy, maybe is the right
no,
word.
because you just have to wait. After some time has passed, it will be. I think Heter Gamor is also was Rashi's language. It will be totally permitted.
Hmm.
You won't have, you won't be eating. There's no Isser. Well, this is no longer present. Well, al yedei bitul. No, hold on. Sorry.
So
Lachar
great.
zman lo yachlenu bisuro al yedei bitul.
Yeah. In other words, it's actually one of the things you could say about Betul is like it's batel, it's completely gone, right? There is no Isur, right? You could have said this is a Havamina. This is not what we're saying. And I think what Rashi's saying here, and we see this, Rav Nachman brought it up in class with Choser V'Neor. There's another category, right, where if I drop a little bit of chalev into my soup and it's batel, but then I drop more chalev into my soup, right? The two of them can combine. It reawakens the chalev. There's also a big category on Pesach about chametz, about Choser V'Neor, and the and so in other words, even though batel bitul happens, there's still, there still is some tag of Isur there or something. I don't know what the right word is. And so, yeah, okay, are you allowed to eat something that's Batel? Of course you are. But if you could wait, or if you could, eat it in a way that there is no Isur, do it that way. That's more ideal. That's Rashi. Uh,
So Rashi's point seems to be, yeah, you could do Beetle, but better not to have to.
exactly. Why rely on Bitul when you could rely on waiting until after Yom Tov, right? Is the classic case for Beit Nodal Yom Tov. Or you could rely on, if it's something that another great category of Dvar Sheshmatrim, somebody cooked on Shabbos b'shogeg, right? Something like that. Yeah, you can wait. What's the big deal? Wait. So, okay, that's Rashi. I want to jump to the Taz in Sif Katan Hey. It's a little bit longer, and this actually fits right. I just implied by that Rashi was the fact, right? He says they're right to chad betrei batel, right? So what do we know that Dvar Sheshamadim is talking about? What category of mixture?
Mean Mimino.
Yeah, it's got to be mim b'mino, right? Obviously, right? Mim b'mino is the only case where chad betrays batel, and not the only case, but it's the case in our world that we're working with. And so this is right. The Mechaber says nitarva b'she'ena mina b'tela b'shishim, right? That if it's ena mina, then it's normal bitul rules. And in hey, the Taz is going to give us the shita of the run, among other things. Let's see. Ruben, that was short. Keep reading a little bit here.
Okay. ואם נתערבה בשאינה מינה וכולי, הטעם כתבתי לאל סימן ק"א סעיף ו' בשם
Atarat chatat.
התורת חטאת, the רמה. לפי שאין ההתר אחר כך נקרא על האיסור, אוקיי. שאין ההתר אחר כך נקרא על האיסור, אלא על התערובת שנאסר. והוא אינו מינו של האיסור, ואין טעם זה מספיק כל כך.
Good.
Okay, so the reasoning which he already brought in the name of the Ramah is because the right, the heter is not going to be right. The thing it's not going to be called after the isur that's present. It's going to be called by the mixture itself.
Exactly.
Right, and it's a min b'she'eno mino. It's not min b'mino. But when he says ve'en ta'am ze maspik kol kach, is that just to say that there's not enough, like it's not strong enough influence to render it forbidden?
No, I think it's not. This is not sufficient. He doesn't. I don't think he loves
the
his
answer isn't sufficient.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah. This, by the way, already hints. We saw this in the Shach in Gimel, I believe here. But even though the Shach takes on, well, okay, this is a good chance to review, right? This Chazarah. According to the Ramah, in terms of in our world, when we say min b'mino, do we follow Shema or do we follow Tam? Max, come off mute and tell us.
Shem.
Yeah, we follow Shem. The Shach takes him on. The Shach says no. There's no way. When we talk about Tam ki kar and being mevatel the Tam, for sure we follow Tam. That's the Shach. That's the Shach's take on that. Because he's like that's ridiculous. You follow Shem when the whole idea of bitul is to get rid of the flavor, right? However, the Shach says there are other places where you actually do follow Shem, right? In other cases of bitul, and this is one of them. Dvar sheyesh lo matirin, right? Dvar sheyesh lo matirin is about Shem because it's about is this thing a group of eggs and one of them is an Isur egg, or is it like I made I don't know, I made a cholent and there was like some egg in it, but that was an Isur egg. That's a different thing, but it's still a cholent, and it's about and therefore I don't identify it with the Isur egg. He doesn't love that answer, and you can see why. At least I can see why he wouldn't love that answer. So now he's going to get into the runs, shita, the Ran shita really bases itself on this has to be min b'mino. So here we go. So Reuven, read some more.
Okay. ותמהני למה לא כתב דברי הר"ן בזה פרק הנודר מן המבושל, וזה טורף תירוצו דחזינן לרבי יהודה, תסבירה לו מין במינו באיסור והתר לא בטיל, ויעליף לה מדכתיב ולקח מדם הפר, ומדם השעיר. מדם השעיר.
Yeah, keep going.
שאף על פי שדם הפר מרובע משל שעיר, קרא לדם השעיר. עלמא לא בטיל משום דמין במינו הוא, לפי שכל דבר שהוא דומה לחברו אינו מחלישו. אדרבה מחזיקו.
Good. Yeah, we'll get the Rabbanan in a second. So
Okay, so why did he not bring the words of the Ran here? And the Ran wrote regarding Nedarim, or he brought a teirutz.
No, I think this is the words of the Ran, right? Why didn't he write the Ran, who's in Parakano Dermin Amevishal? And I'm going to give you the Toref. The Toref, right, is the details you fill into a document, right, as opposed to the Tofes. I'm going to give you the details here. What he said. Okay. In other words, I'm not going to copy him. I'm just going to give you the I can't think
the paraphrase.
Yeah, the salient stuff. I'm going to give you the salient stuff here. So.
Okay, so the Taz is saying, here's the salient stuff of the Ran that the Ramah could have brought but didn't.
Exactly.
Okay. So in this section in Nedarim, Rabbi Yehuda...
Well, we see throughout the Gemara, we see Rabbi Yehuda...
Yeah, we see throughout the Gemara, it's not in Nedarim specifically. We see throughout the Gemara that Rabbi Yehuda holds min b'mino, b'isser v'heter, I guess meaning in a tarovet of isser and heter, lo batil. We all know this very well by now. Min b'mino lo batil, according to Rabbi Yehuda, and it's derived... he derives it from this pasuk about the dam hapar that mentions dam hapar and dam haseir, even though dam hapar is, I guess, a par has a lot more dam than a seir, certainly, which is true. It's a larger animal.
Exactly.
But the pasuk still invokes dam haseir in the mixture. So clearly, alma lo batil mishum demin b'minohu. There's no nullification when the blood is together in a tarovet because min b'mino lo batil, and it retains its status as a separate thing.
They give you now a philosophical reason, or not philosophical. This might actually be like a scientific reason why I maybe has some people have pointed out to me has some hints of Aristotle in it going on here. I think, but. I don't know Aristotle. All I learned was Aristotle got physics wrong, and so nothing important happened until Galileo came along. So that's what taught me in school. Josie, they teach you the same thing? That was yeah. Galileo came along, and finally people got smart. That's the way it's scientific.
People don't hold by Aristotle's science anymore.
Yeah. So.
But Maimonides does. So maybe we have to give that.
True.
Yes, that's very fair. So, okay, but anyway, so why is it? And by the way, just
okay,
that's korbanot for Yom Kippur, right? That's the service of the Kohen HaGadol, right? And so, okay.
Yes, no, thank you I should have provided the context. Okay, so here's the philosophical principle. So anything that resembles its fellow is not weakened.
Yeah, it doesn't weaken it. Yeah. Remember,
it doesn't weaken it, right? It's not it doesn't weaken it.
The whole theory of bitul is that if I drop some chalev in my soup, the soup weakens the taste of the chalev, right? Or even nullifies it completely, ideally, right? It doesn't taste like chalev, it tastes like soup. But if I drop, I don't know, forbidden soup into permitted soup, and they're the same soup. I shouldn't use soup, but I'm going to use soup. Right? It's going to strengthen the flavor. It's not going to, weaken it or nullify it. So, okay.
So, sorry, just to finish this, Adarabba Machsiko. So it doesn't weaken it; it actually strengthens it.
Yeah.
And here we're talking about. When something is domeh lechavero, we are talking about shem or tam. We're talking about tam here.
Good. We're not explicitly saying, although maybe you can make,
Okay.
I mean, when he says strengthens, it might mean the Tom, and so therefore maybe it is about Tom, but maybe it's about Shem too. You can imagine it's um, but okay, but now he's going to deal with the Rabbanan who disagree with Rabbi Yehuda, right? And they say no, min b'mino batel barov, right? So,
Do you want me to keep going?
yeah, please.
Okay, ורבנן לא ילפה מזה לאיסור והיתר, דבשלם אדם פר ושעיר שניהם כשרים לזריקה, מה שאינו כן באיסור והיתר, אף על פי שהם מין אחד, מכל מקום חלוקים הם שזה אסור וזה מותר. על כורכך?
Yeah, yeah,
על
I'll can
כורכך?
or I'll can, yeah, or I'll korchach, the same thing. Therefore,
על כן or על כורכך, הבלה, because I have a hey and a lamed too. הבלה?
yeah, havale, yeah,
Okay. על כן or על כורכך, הבלה כאינו מינו.
good. Stop there for a
ומשום,
second.
should pause there before משום
Yeah,
הכי?
before there's Rishumachi, stop there. So,
Okay, so the rabbis, on the other hand, do not derive from the same pasuk,
mhm.
or I guess they don't derive anything about atarovis
Uh-huh.
from this pasuk, because it's obvious that dam hapar and dam seir, they're both right. They're disanalogous. You can't really derive one from the other. Dam hapar and dam seir, they're both kasher for zreka for the function that they're being used in the service, but that's not true for an iser v'heter situation because you have a mutter thing and for an usher thing. And then we say, therefore, we have to say that it's ke'eno mino, meaning
Exactly.
what exactly?
Yeah,
I'm confused.
in other words, because when two things are, this is why he must be Shema actually at the end of the day, right? When two things are both kasher and they both are the same, they're both blood, they're both dam, right? Then they strengthen each other. They're min b'mino. That's truly min b'mino. But if you have, the rabbi's like that's for kosher, two permissible things. But one thing is asur and one thing's permissible. They're different things, right? One is dam kasher and one is dam. Well, there's no dam kasher. Well, fish blood, I guess. But yeah, I don't want to go there with one is I don't know of kasher and one is of tameh, right? Those are different things, and therefore they're not min b'mino when it comes to iser v'heter. And you can't derive from dama seir and dama par, which are two permissible things for the mizbeach, to a case where one is permitted and one is iser. That's not truly min b'mino, and therefore it's not the same case. So, yes, Reuven.
But this is confusing to me because it seems to imply that in Isra Beheta you can't have a min b'mino case.
Good. Yes, it would actually like according to the Ran Shita here, the way this is all the Ran here, right? Is that we have kind of like I guess three categories almost. We have min b'she'eno mino, two things that are completely different flavor, even maybe we'll say. We have quasi min b'mino, where they're very similar, but one is Isser and one is Heter, right? And the Torah says for that, Acharei l'rabim le'atot. And then we have this third category of true min b'mino, where both of them are permittable things. And we're gonna have a fourth category, I think, in a second, but where they're truly both permittable things, and then there's no beetle at all.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. I know it's a good question you asked because now I'm clarifying it in my head too. Okay. All right. Umishum hachi.
ומשום הכי אמרינן ביש למתירין הווה דומיה דדם פר ושעיר, דהה אין כאן חילוק בין איסור להתר, שהרי גם האיסור סופו להיות מותר. וזהו מין במינו, כהי דדם פר ושעיר, מה שאין כן במין באינו מינו, אף על פי שמצד איסור יש להם שווה בדבר, שיווי בדבר. שיש לו מתירין, מכל מקום יש ביניהם חילוק גדול במה שזה מין אחד. על כורכך... מין אחר, thank you. מין אחר, important difference. על כורכך, או על כן, הם בטלים זה בזה. I'll just read the last line. וזה כוונתו שם אף על פי שאין זה לשונו, והוא נכון מאוד. Okay. So, umishum hachi. Okay, so mishum hachi. Okay, so and what we mentioned before, because of this, we say with regard to the principle of Yesh Matirin that it is analogous to the case of the Dam Hapar and the Seir, because similarly, there's no chiluk between, there's no thing that's Isser and then a thing that's Heter. Because the Isser thing in the Devay Sheyesh Matirin, it's only Isser now, but Sofo Lihiyot Mutar. It will eventually be Mutar.
Good. I want to pause you for a second. I think, right, because one of the things we know, right, even to the Ran, I think, right, this is a rabbinic category, Devar Sheyesh Matirin. I think what he's saying is it's still not really heter and heter, right? It's not an egg that's heter and an egg that's heter, or eggs that are heter. It's an egg that is going to be heter. So it's closer to being true min b'mino, like Damapar and Damasir, and therefore the rabbis were gozrin on this, because now we're really stepping into the category of Rebbe of min b'mino eno batel. So can people hear the music in the background that my son is playing? Is that Zoom canceling out? Good. We're getting a Maccabees concert in the background for a minute there, but anyway, okay. So yeah, that's
so what's the sikum here? I kind of got lost a little bit in the weeds. So what is the Ron's, he's comparing Rabbanan with Rabbi Yehuda with this idea of basing it on the Kohen Gadol's service on Yom Kippur and the two mixing bloods, and that one isn't batil or one is batil. So how did is the Ron at the end of the day coming out and saying min b'mino isn't batil, which is pretty much the same as Rabbi Yehuda's position?
Exactly. He's saying Rabbi Yehuda's right fundamentally that min b'mino is not batel, right? But when you have an Isur and Heter together, that's not truly min b'mino, right? That's because let's talk about like I'll use eggs again. An egg, a treifa egg, right? An egg from a treifa as opposed to a kosher egg. Those are not the same mean. They're similar meaning, but not the same. And therefore, the Rabbanan are right that there is bitul because they're not the same cases as Damapar and Damasir. However, imagine you have two or multiple kosher eggs, not two because two isn't matel, but let's say you have 5 kosher eggs and another egg that was nolad b'yom tov. Right now, it's not a kosher egg, but it's gonna be a kosher egg, so it's much closer to being min b'mino, and therefore the rabbis were gozrin on it. I'm adding this part, but I think this is clear. This is the Ran's take, that the rabbis are gozrin on it as if it were the true min b'mino category of Damapar and Damasir, because they really are much more similar than Isur v'Heter. It's not really an Isur v'Heter case anymore, and therefore they are the same mean, right? Which you can see the finish up of the Taz here, and this is why this must only happen in min b'mino, right? You read this already, Reuven, right? Because this is all about min b'mino, and so min b'me'ein she'eno mino, this doesn't apply. So. And the Taz says, this is actually the true explanation. He's actually holding the Ran here. It's like, this is the true explanation. I really wish he'd given it. He's like, this must be what he means. It would be nice if they said that explicitly. So.
Wait, sorry, Zeu Kavanata, meaning it would be nice if the Ramah said that explicitly?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's like, this must be his Kavanah in the Torah Chatat.
Meaning the Ramah meant what the Ran said, but he but he didn't.
But I wish he said it.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So this is all right. So good.
And he's right for his intention, but wrong for his wording. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we've got the Rashi, we've got the Ran. I think these are very fundamental and important. Like, what's the story behind Devar Sheyesh Matirin? Rashi's like, why eat something that's an Isur? Even if it's Batel, there's still Isur there. Yeah, okay, it's Batel Isur, so it's permitted, but it's still Isur. Right? It still has some flavor, not flavor. I don't mean flavor as in Tom. I mean like a trace of Isur there. Like, wait till, if you can wait. Why? Bitul is not an ideal thing. Let's wait. And although that one suffers a little bit from explaining, well, why does this only operate in min b'mino? And the Ran has a nice thing of both explaining Rabbi Yehuda's position a little bit better and why we don't accept it, and also why this only operates in min b'mino. So, yeah, Max.
Just to say that there isn't necessarily a disagreement between the Rashi and the Ran in terms of like a nafkamina case. It's just different explanation.
I believe that's correct. I don't think there's enough.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I was trying to think. For some reason, I had in the back of my head that there was one somewhere, but I don't. Maybe Rav Nachum remember or has one. But um, I think lahalacha it ends up the same. It's just kind of a more of a explanation factor. It's which all right. I get my personal thing. I think it's important. When people ask you, well, why do we do this? It's important one for motivation, like for people to understand why do we have this, but also sometimes it is important, like for ruling. To make a ruling, you have to understand the basis behind something to understand how it applies. Here, not so much, maybe, but it helps motivate people, right? It helps them understand. Okay, this is why. This is the way it is. So. Um, okay, sorry, that was my own take on it. But it's Tom made me vote. I have a lot of thoughts about like why do we do it? What's the point? Um, all right, let me see. Where do I want to go from here? Oh yes, okay. I want to do another tie. Oh, I want to do first a shach. Why did I didn't tell sometimes I write myself a note and I don't tell myself why. This is in the same category. Let's just take a look at the shach here. Maybe Noam, you want to read the shach Dalid B'She'ina Mina B'Tila. Don't worry, Rav Nachum. By the way, we're gonna get to the stuff I promised I would do at the end of the Ramah that we didn't do in class. But so
B'Sheina Mina B'Tala B'Shishim. You got a thumbs up from Rav Nachum.
oh good.
Rav Joel. He just came on for a second, gave a
Yeah.
thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is the Machaber saying that when it's Eina Mina, it's nullified in 60. There is beetle. Okay. Afal gav delinyan birya v'chaticha hareuya להתכבד אין חילוק בין נתערבה במינו של לא במינה. Even though for the other categories we've talked about, namely birya and chaticha hareuya להתכבד, we don't have any chiluk. I basically didn't translate anything there, but you get the idea.
Me too. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. וכדי ליל סימן קוף א' סעיף ו' בהגה, שני הכא דאין החשיבות מצד האיסור עצמו, אלא מאחר שיהיה לו היתר אחר כך, לא רצו חכמים להתבטל. וכל שנתערב שלא במינו, אין היתר נקרא על הדבר האסור, אלא על שם דבר שנתערב בו, והווה כמין שאין לו מתירין. So it says in the Ramah, it's different here because the significance doesn't come.
Sorry, over there is where it says that birya, or that's actually chatikah really like kabed, is not batel also be'ino mino, right? It doesn't matter be'mino be'ino mino. That's the
right.
Okay.
So meaning shani hacha, meaning in the case of birya, right?
No, shani hacha here. This is now the shach. Like the Ramah wrote over there.
I see.
For those
so sorry, here in the case of Dvar Sheyesh Matirin, it's different because the significance doesn't come from the Isser itself, only from the fact that it will become a mutter later on.
Yeah.
And so the sages don't want it to be nullified. And everything anything that mixes with something unlike it, the thing is called by the heter that it mixes into rather than the isser that enters into it, if that makes sense.
Yes, good.
And it's like that which will never become permitted.
It's outside of the category of in other words, right? Yeah, he's added that. This is essentially the beginning explanation of the Taz, right? That he gave initially that he didn't like, and he adds in he adds an explanation, which I don't know if the Taz would accept it or not. The Taz predates the Shach, right? Yeah, the Taz predates the Shach. That's correct. That's but by a little, I think they overlap somewhat. But why is it not Devar Sheyesh Matirin? Because what is this thing, this substance that has some Devar Sheyesh Matirin mixed in with the rest of it? That's a different mean. It's the different mean. And it's not the Devar Sheyesh Matirin. So it's no longer in the category of Devar Sheyesh Matirin, because when I look at this thing, I don't say that's an egg that was nodal b'yom tov. I say that is a soup and maybe it had some egg in it that was no davionso, but it's a soup at the end of the day, and it's not an egg, and therefore it doesn't have the identity of the thing that's davar sheyesh lo matirin, so it's no longer davar sheyesh lo matirin at that point. That's um, so then we go back to then we follow the rules of batel b'shishim at that point. Okay, so okay. Good. I just wanted to see.
Wait, sorry. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this. Whereas in the case of birya or chaticha royale kabed, there's a chashivut coming from the isser itself, such that there would be no bitul in a case of inomino.
Exactly. Yeah, because there it's like, well,
Right.
the whole point is that it's a birya and therefore it doesn't lose itself, right? When it gets mixed into something. It's still a significant thing. Here, it's the davar she'ein lo matirin is not itself significant. The significance is its category, not itself. And therefore, when it gets mixed into something, it does lose itself in that sense. And therefore, this thing is called the soup. It's not called the egg.
Okay.
I was thinking about your question earlier about is there a nafkamina between the two different explanations?
Yeah.
And I thought of something, which is that if you go like Rashi, then it's clear that you go that determining min b'mino is by name because it's called on name. But if you go like the Ran, then it could be that you go by Tom.
Yeah.
Because the Ran says the Ran says that it's not mitnaged. Maybe it's not mitnaged. It's not there's no opposition. But if the Tom is different, then there is opposition. So you might just determine it by Tom. What do you think?
Although the one thing I had a hard time with that is, does he really think that the tom of a treifa egg is a different tom than a mutar egg? I think he thinks it's the same tom, but they don't strengthen each other nonetheless. At least in his claim in min b'mino, right?
Treifa egg is not min b'mino?
According to the Ran, right? He says that's why we don't follow Rabbi. It's min b'mino in terms of like achari Rabbi Latot, but it's not min b'mino in the way Rabbi. It's not min b'mino like the Dama Par and Dama Seir, which truly strengthen each other, right? And he says
he brings that example. I didn't remember that.
I don't know if he brings that example, but he brings the example of any Isser v'heter tarovet is not true min b'mino
because there's two different things. One is if they're different because of their Isser v'heter status, and then we don't care if it's min b'mino or not min b'mino. But when they're both heter, when one is going to be heter later because it's darshi yesh lo matirin, then we determine it only if it's the same min. But what does it mean the same min? That its Tom is the same.
Yeah, but I don't know that, because my question is for Isser v'heter, right? He would say why are
Isser v'heter doesn't matter whether it's min b'mino or min b'she'eino mino. It's always going to be batel.
Yes, according to him, but he says the reason why is because they have different names, not because they have different tom, right? So I think name is the applicable category. Why is it that the Dama Par and Dama Seir are strengthening each other? Because they have the same name versus if it were dam that was not kasher lemizbeach, that it got mixed in, that would be different dam, and therefore it wouldn't strengthen each other not because the flavor is different, because the name is different, I think, right?
Okay.
I don't know. I have to think about it a little bit more, but it's an interesting point. But so one way or the other, I think the Shach holds Rashi, as his applicable, the basis for Devar She'ein, and the Taz clearly holds the Ran. So he may also hold Rashi. I don't think he holds. You have to say just because you hold the Ran, you don't hold Rashi. I think he holds also the Ran. So, all right. This was very important. We did it. This is like, I'm biased, but I think it's very important. This was based on the Tosfot at the end of Beitza, and in terms of what counts as min b'mino. And so maybe we should read the Haggah first here at the very end of Aleph, the Haggah. Maybe Josie, can you read that Haggah? After all the parentheses.
Right, all the parentheses, which is all the sources for where the Mechaber is getting his writing. Haggah mihu im livno ba machal או נתנו בקדירה לתקן הקדירה כגון שימלאוה בתרנגולות, אינה בטלה ועין באורח חיים סימן תק"י.
Mhm.
So in any case, if you are using it to lighten your food, right? Or
Yeah,
you're
or to whiten your food. Yeah, lighten. Sure.
to lighten or white, like lighten your coffee maybe. Or you're putting it in the pot to fix the actual pot. Like to fill up it says Shemaluha b'tarnagolot.
Yeah, it's like you stuff eggs in a bird to make it bigger, essentially, I think is the idea here.
So you're stuffing something in your pot to make it push out, I guess. Is that
Yeah.
what he's physically? That's not batel. And take a look at Orach Chaim.
No, let me just correct you. Litaken et a kadera means to make not the pot itself, but the food in the kadera sweeter,
okay.
to make it sweeter.
You think it's I think that's for the spices, but when he says "kigon shemalaua b'tarnagolet," he doesn't mean. You think it just means that to spice it? I think he must mean to fill it with something. There, it's
Litaken et a kadera is an expression. It means to
yeah. No, I agree.
make the food tastier by spicing it.
Yeah, but the example's weird though, isn't it? Then shemalua b'tarnagolet.
But maybe maybe it's not only tastier, but just to enhance it in some way.
Okay.
Could be
Yeah.
tastier or more voluminous.
So
I don't know. Maybe what does it mean? Shimalu b'tarnagolet.
I thought I saw somewhere that this is like to stuff it with stuff, but maybe stuffing.
Stuff the chicken with
like stuffing? I don't know.
Yeah, with stuffing to make the chicken taste better.
Okay, so I don't. That's I'll take that.
But this seems straight up like a lachatchila thing.
Oh no,
Right.
he's saying if you do that with something that's davar shelish matirin, even though let's say it's an egg or let's say stuffing. The stuffing is davar shelish matirin for whatever reason. You cook the stuffing on Shabbos b'shogeg or something, and then then what would you be cooking in the chicken? But on Shabbos, okay, I don't know. I'll come up with an example. And that even though it's stuffing in chicken, that's actually min b'mino at that point. Right? That's the claim of the Ramah.
But I kind of agree with Josie. It's like saying that like even for Eino Mino, you still can't be Mevatel Iser Lechatchila.
Oh, it's a interesting. I think this is a b'diavad case. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, Max.
Is the problem with these that it's min b'min, or just that it's becoming it is a more important part of the dish?
Good. Well, hold on. I
something like
think it's
that.
a more important part of maybe a little bit, yes, not more important, but it's an important part of the dish. Let's read the Shach and Vav. This is the Tosfot we saw. Josie, read the Shach and Vav.
The Shach and Vav. Even though the Bekadera Kedela Teken Kule Hatam Katav Mahari Sham. The kol shenotnin ze b'ze lataken ze et ze mikri min b'mino kogon mayim v'melach v'isa the chashiva min b'mino kevan shehem metaknim v'isa the kamosha katav hatosfot perik bet debetza perik batra debetza, excuse me.
Yeah, it's gotta be batra. Yeah.
Right. So this is saying that if you are putting something in to perfect it, let's say not to repair, but like to perfect it.
It might be the sweeten. I'll go with sweeten, although maybe the Isa isn't sweeten. It's to blow it up.
Excuse me for a second. I just have to.
Yeah.
My bird is trying to tell me that someone's strangling it while it's in its cage because it probably wants to be fed. Eggs. He wants to be stuffed with eggs. So it's this is actually called min b'mino.
Mm-hmm.
Like water and salt that you mix into dough. That's considered that once it's all there, it's considered like types.
Exactly.
Right, because they're there to sort of you're continuing to make the dough. Right, it's still it's all dough. It's not like the water and salt are there independently. you're making more dough.
Yeah. So if you had salt, right, that was davar sheyesh lo matirin, whatever reason the salt is asur right now will become mutar mimela tomorrow, let's say, or sometime soon. Then if you mix that salt in with your dough, it would not be batel. Because that's min b'mino and it's davar sheyesh lo matirin. So it's a recategorization. We've seen the Ron recategorizes meme and Mino in a very interesting way, where they have to be like the same thing, Isser v'heter wise, at least in terms of Isser v'heter. And here's another recategorization of meme and Mino of two things that kind of work with each other are considered the same mean, even though maybe they're not the same flavor, but they kind of combine to make a flavor or something like that. Someone said, Ruven, what do you have?
I'm just struggling with this in terms of the chronology of how things happen because you put the ingredients together to make a dough. It does ultimately become the same one and the same thing. Like you can't unbake a cake.
Yes.
But at the moment that the ingredients are combined, they are individual. And so saying that it's mimba bino eventually, or even saying that it's already mimba bino because of a future event that will happen is a little strange to
Yeah,
me.
no, I think because they're combining together to make a food, and that food is,
Right, right. It's not, you're not going to eat raw dough.
yeah.
We are thinking of the dish as it will be served, I
I
suppose.
think yeah, the dishes is
That
complete.
makes more
Yeah,
sense.
and they're both
Yeah.
parts of the dish, and so they're all the same mean in that sense. So um, good. It's a very fundamental, like a very important category, I think. And we talked about Batar Shma. How are we doing on time? Where do I want to go? Uh, Yeah. Do I want to do it? All right, let's go. We're gonna do this first. I'm just thinking about time wise. There's a lot to say about Devar Balua and whether or not we agree with the Ramah there, the Devar Balua, doesn't count as Devar Shlish Matrim. I'll just put it this way: the Achronim are really cholek alav about that, and they think he's wrong. So. Um,
Just restate what the final psak is.
Yeah, the son of Pesach is Devar Balua does fall into the category of Devar Sheshamatirim. So if it is, and the whole thing about you have to reinterpret then the whole case of if you have a piece of meat that sat for 3 days without being salted, right? We said the Ramah says that the Mechaber says actually that is not Devar Sheshamatirin. And the answer that people who say that, because the Rama says, yeah, because it's dam balua, and therefore you can't be devar sheshmatrim based on something balua. Um, and the answer that they give is it's actually not devar sheshmatrim because it's actually mutar. It's mutar to roast it, and therefore the thing isn't asur to begin with in the first place. So it's not devar sheshmatrim. It is it's not in a state of isur at the moment. So. Or it's in Samech Tet, I believe, is where he deals with all that question. Samech Tet Gimel, maybe, of blood that sat. The whole idea is the blood congeals after it sits for 3 days, and you can't just salt it out anymore. But you can roast it out. And there's some questions whether or not you can cook it after that or not. But so okay. Uh, that's Devar Balua. The other thing about Devar Balua, right? That's is if I mean, this is a good review piece. What do we say about it's in Gimel here about dishes, right? If you have a bunch of a kli that absorbs iser and they all get mixed together with each other, it gets mixed in with a bunch of other mutar kalim. Is it batel? The answer is yes. Although the interesting ties, he says before you use it, you should kasher each one because you may come to cook something in one of them and then mix with other cook things, and we no longer would rely on rove. We'd rely on shishim then, and that would be like lach balach at that point. But the Ramah there doesn't say it's because of what is his reason that for things that absorb like a kli that has absorbed iser, why is it not the Varshesh Matirin? Why is it Batel? It's an important point, Max.
Because you might have thought that if you could do Hagala, that would be Devar Shlish Matirian,
Uh,
but it's too involved, and so it
Good.
doesn't count.
Yeah, it has to be right. It has to come mimel, well, it doesn't necessarily have to come on its own, but it has to come for sure and easily. And it's a lot of it's a lot of hotzaot is I think the Ramaz language, right? It takes a lot to do Haggalah, especially not a lot of pots we're talking about potentially here, or at least three, if not more. And you also imagine, it's not their world doesn't have like taps, like plumbing the way we do also, right? Which is it's a lot harder to get water. Um, so, and so people take on the Ramah. They're like, wait a second, you think that Devar Balua isn't Devar Shalish Ramah. Why didn't you say that there? And that's a nice proof that maybe actually that isn't Devar Balua doesn't work. Um, the Ramah goes against himself in some ways. Okay, we can come back to that if we have time. But for the moment, I wanted to go to Dalit because we didn't get to finish the Ramah here in Dalit. So I'll read the Mechaber, and then other people can read the Ramah, and then we can work from there. So Yesh Mishomer, the Lo Shach Devar Shesh Matrim, Hechash Yamachal Mitkalkel. So if the food is going to spoil, then it's not considered Devar Shesh Matrim, right? If you have an egg, an egg is the wrong example because eggs don't spoil on one day. But if you have an egg that no da b'yom tov and it's gonna like go bad the next day, obviously, well, it's not the shesh matirim, and therefore it would be batel. Maybe it's I don't know. I can think of something, some other category or something that goes bad very quickly, before it becomes mutar. So, all right, let's read the Haggah. Let's see who hasn't read. Is everybody? Ori, are you readable? Or are you? No, you're on a road trip. Max, have you read yet? So,
Okay.
oh, Ori, are you having trouble hearing?
No, it's just very loud.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, that's right. You're in a bowling alley, so there should be Torah everywhere. Max, take the Roman Dalit.
Okay. עד דבר שיש לו מתירין אינו בטל, היינו דווקא אם העשר בעין, או שיש עדיין ממשוש העשר בתערובת, אבל טעמו בטל. Okay, so דבר שיש לו מתירין is only when you can, or the idea that it's not batel is only when you can see some actual, substance of the isser there. But tam itself is batel.
Good.
V'chein im ein isura machmas atzmo batel. And also, similarly, if it's not itself asur, but is balua or something like that, then it's batel.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about before, but we'll read it.
Yeah.
So keep going.
ולכן חתיכה שלא נמלכה תוך ג' ימים, אף על פי שיש אומרים דמקרה דבר שיש לו מתירין, הואיל ומותרת לצלי, אפילו הכי בטלה, דאין איסורה אלא מחמס דם הבלוע בה. Right, so this is the case where there is still a fix, which is to say you can roast it, and so it's only dam balua.
Exactly. This is again, just to make this clear, maybe I in case I wasn't, everyone agrees with the Ramah Ladin that this is not some meat that sat for 3 days without being salted is batel. It's not considered devar sheyesh matirin if it gets mixed in accidentally with other pieces of meat. However, they disagree about the reason, right? They don't think it's about balua. They think it's just never roast. It's not asur yet because it's still mutar litzli, so.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not devar sheyesh matirin. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an assumption there, I think, that you're not going to eat raw meat, but which is fair.
No, I mean, I don't quite understand because aren't we saying that he's letting you, if you have 60 pieces of meat and one piece that wasn't salted, you can boil it together now.
Yes. Yeah, he's saying you can cook them together now.
You can boil them together, all 61 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yet it was usher to boil that piece.
Yeah. I think
so you should say,
yeah,
no, we're not going to let you boil them. We're going to make you roast all 61 pieces.
Mm-hmm. It's a good argument for the Ramah, right? Where he's saying that this is
exactly, and therefore the only reason that we're going to matter it is because it's balua.
Yeah. The argument against it is that balua is a thing about that works for chashivut because the blia isn't chashuv. And why wouldn't that work for davar sheyesh matirin? It's still davar. The balua thing is still davar sheyesh matirin at the end of the day. And so why would you say that that's not an applicable category?
Right, I know. I understand that, Kasha.
Yeah.
He just says because it's a Rabbanan there, Mekel.
That's a great answer, I think, right? It's like the rabbis can be, gozrin the way they want to be gozrin at the end of the day. So,
Right. The question is, where's his proof? But
yeah.
maybe his proof is from this case.
Mhm.
Anyway, I don't want to stop you. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, good. So, no, this is good. This is why we have the honor of having Rav Nachum here. So, Max, please keep going. So,
Kol iser shelo haya nikar kodem shenisa rev have batel afal pishu devar sheish matirin. So if you have something that otherwise would be davar sheish matirin, but you didn't realize that it got mixed in, it's batel.
wait, it's not even don't realize it. You don't ever see it on its own, kind of thing. This is the classic case. Anybody know the classic case of this? It's a Shabbos case, actually. We saw it if you were here for Hilchot Shabbos. We saw this. You have a bunch of grapes in a wine vat and Shabbos, right? And some of the grapes are going to burst into the vat on Shabbos, right? Those things, it's a no lot on Shabbos. That'd be asur on its own. If the grape just was sitting out and burst, you can't drink the juice of that grape on Shabbos. However, because it's in the vat and never recognized independently, you never recognize independently that that juice, that even though it's devar sheyesh matirin, it's batel. And therefore you can go to the vat of grapes on Shabbos, vats of juice and grapes on Shabbos, and you can drink from it because there was juice there before. It's not all Shabbos juice, Shabbos made juice. So it's
got it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, good. Next case is really interesting, I think, the Darim case here.
מי שנדר מדבר אחד וניסרב אחר כך, לדידי מקרי דבר שיש לו מטירין. דהה אפשר לשאול על נדרו. Okay, so if someone said they're not going to eat eggs, and after that the egg got mixed in, that counts as a davar sheish matirin because it's easy enough to have your neder annulled.
Yeah.
By the way, this is another example of a mira being not considered a maaseh. Is going to a rabbi and asking him to speak to someone. As Hagala is a maaseh, burning wood and making a fire, but here is just words like truma.
Yeah,
and therefore it's not considered a maaseh.
I was wondering about what the case is here because if it's only works for min b'mino, you'd have to take a neder off a particular egg or something. How does that, I guess that would be.
No, you just cancel the whole neder. What's the problem?
Oh, no, I'm not talking about cancel the whole neder. I'm saying what's the case to begin with? They got mixed in, right? I take a neder against this egg. I'm not going to get honey hana from this egg and it gets mixed in.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, it could be.
It could be like a konam on benefiting from someone's property.
Oh, right, because somebody's thing. You're right. That's a very typical case. Very good. Yeah. So.
Or right, it could be right. I don't want to benefit from eggs from this guy's farm.
Yeah.
But it could also be water and flour.
Good point. Right. That's min b'mino. So we saw that. All right.
Yeah.
Good. That answers my question. So, all right. So yeah, Sheilat al neder. First off, we see devar shel matirin can be for a particular person here, right? This is and we're going to see this come in a different way. And devar and having your neder annulled by a chacham is not considered a maseh, as Rav Nachum pointed out. So, or at least maseh gadol, one way or another. All right, Max.
So it's not a tircha in the same way that you could get out of hagala for your vessels because that's a big tircha, but there's no it's less not a masa and more not a tircha. Is that be a better way of putting it?
Yeah, you can either say it's not a masa at all, or it's a very easy masa. That doesn't take a lot. So, all right, Max, keep going for us.
דבר שיש לו היתר וחוזר ונאסר, כגון חמץ בפסח, לא מקרה דבר שיש לו מתירין.
Mhm.
So if something is eventually going to at the end of Pesach, it'll become Matir, but then it'll become Aser again next year. That's not a davar sheish lo matirin.
Mhm.
So you can have bittul. V'yesh cholkin b'zeh, but the Rambam disagrees.
Yeah, this is right. A big debate about, I guess, a big debate because the Rambam has a different opinion than a lot of people, so it becomes a big debate. We know that chametz befesach is not batel, and but the question is that a devar shesh matirim thing, or is it a different category? There's the Rosh has his own explanation why chametz on Pesach is not batel. I think is he the one who says maybe the Rambam also is the second one. It says because the rest of the year it's mutar, and therefore they made an extra stricture on it, right? The people, but what everyone agrees chametz befesach is not batel the b'mashu. The question is why. So what the okay, but this is an important thing too, right? So therefore, like we actually saw this with the Shemin on Hanukkah, right? That because Shemin on Hanukkah is devar sheyesh lo, it's devar sheyesh lo matirin. It's going to go back to its state every Hanukkah, right? But did I get that right?
No, so it's not a devar sheish lo matirin.
Yes, exactly. It's not a devar sheyesh lo matirin
Even though you might think
Mhm.
that after Hanukkah, just wait till next Hanukkah.
Yeah. So, but
Well,
because
that's already brings us to the thing that I sent out.
but yes, well, that's why I wanted to go there. Did you want to talk about that, Rav Nachum?
Yeah, wait, can you share the screen with that source?
Let's see if I can find it. So hold on.
Those two sources, actually. I have a kasha on it. That's what.
You Kasha and Magen Avraham?
Yeah, I
Uh,
think so. If I remember it, let's see if I can remember it. But
this was
it was in the email.
yeah, here it is. Let's see if we could do this. We can share my screen here. Everyone will embarrassingly see how many unread emails I have, but that's okay.
Oh, that's nothing.
Oh, that's
Only
nothing. Oh, wow.
600.
So, all right. Yeah, this is Hilchot Hanukkah, where we just here's maybe I'll read for a minute here. Is that do you want me to read Rav Nachum, or you want to read?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll read the Magen Avraham.
All right. Hanatar b'yom hashmini. So the leftover on the eighth day, mina shemen. Yitzrich hatzarich l'shir halakah. Right. That was
This is an important point.
Yeah.
It's an important point. It doesn't mean anything is left in it. It means that, I mean, I don't know exactly what he means here, because like if I put in oil for an hour and it burnt for 45 minutes, so then he's not then that notar is permitted.
No, I think it's kavta, right? Kavta v'enzakukla kind of case here, right? Like I put in oil for half an hour and it went out for some reason.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
I put in oil for no, exactly. Then that oil is forbidden because I was planning on, because it was for the first half hour I needed it. But if I burnt for an hour and there was still oil left over, that we're not talking about.
yeah. So oselo maduras, you make a big bonfire. V'sorfo, not that you get benefit out of it. Sorfo b'fnei atzmo, it burns on its own. Sharei huksa mitzvato, because it's muksa from mitzvah. V'im nitarev b'shemen acher, so it gets mixed in with other oil. Ve'ein shishim levatlo. Yesh mi shomer she'ein lo sif alav k'dei levatlo. Because this is a derabanan. So some people say, even though it's a derabanan, we said you can be mosif on a derabanan to be mevatelet. Says don't do that. Don't. Some people say, or the one person says don't.
Right. We said mosif. That was what we learned in Siman Tzadi Tet.
Yeah.
We learned that you could be mosif on Isser Rabbanan. And here is Isser Rabbanan, but you don't mosif. Yesh misha omer she'ein lo sif alav k'dei levatlo. And presumably why?
Well,
In mevalin iser.
Well, no, we are for derabanan. You can be mevatel sir.
Oh,
Hanukkah is a derabanan. Hanukkah itself is derabanan. So, and now it's already mixed with 50. I just want to add 10 more oil to mevatel it. You should be able to. We learned that in Tzadi Tet. Yesh misha omer. Fine. So presumably, some people want to say because it's huksa the mitzvah.
Yeah.
Because what he said before, it's like a special status. It's like it needs geniza. It's like it's not a normal kind of Isser Rabbanan. All right, so look at the Magen Avraham. He says,
All right. Is it Velo Dami? Velo Dami Siman Taf Kuv
Yeah,
Zayin?
it's a little bit small.
Oh, I
Lo
don't think.
dami l'siman taf kuf zayin sif bet dahatam ein nehene mimenu ad achar bureau. I think he's talking about
The branches on Yom Tov, right? That fell in.
exactly. I think he's talking about branches on Yom Tov. There you don't, and we talked about this when we learned about that you'd only benefit from the bread like the next morning, an hour later, and the fire's already out. But here you're benefiting from it while it's burning, so that's called benefiting from it. If you would burn it. Asur the vatlo. That's why it's asur. V'ayin b'yuridea siman tzaditet sifav. Diyesh matirin v'lechen katav kan yesh misha omer. And that's why he writes over here, because in other words, over there we said that maybe you could, what does it mean? What was sivav? Sheyesh matirin lechen v'lechen katav kan sheyesh misha omer, that you can't matir, that you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, over there we said we could. Va'ayin b'shach sham ve'efshar dahacha echmir tfei. So why are they more strict here? In other words, the Shach asked this question: why doesn't he say it? He just says yesh misha oser. He doesn't say there's different opinions, and he says so. He says you can answer the Shach. Dahacha echmir tfei. He was more strict here. Kevin dahave devar sheyesh lo matirin. The Medina mutter l'shahot l'shototo l'shana haba. Just keep it for the next year. V'ahave dumya dechametz. V'ayin yiradea our siman kufbet our siman. So my kasha on him is, but we just said, but the Ramah says that if it's choser, it's not called the Rashi Yeshua Matirin. How come the Magen Avram is saying it's the Rashi Yeshua Matirin, where the Ramah we just read said that if it comes and goes, the coming and going planet, if you ever watch Dr. Guido Sarducci, Father, but if it comes and goes, if it sometimes becomes batel, it sometimes becomes mutter, then we don't say it's Rashi Yeshua Matirin, because it never really never fully went into a heter status, because it's only going to be heter for 8 days, and then it's going to be esrog again. So why is the Magen Avram saying this?
I have an answer.
Oh, good.
All right, can I try this?
V'vakashai. You can
Yeah, I
stop
think
sharing.
no, oh yeah, stop. Yeah, that's I think what's going on here is it's only the Ramah. I think the Mechaber disagrees, and he is explaining this like the Mechaber, right? Because this is a comment on the Mechaber, not a comment on the Ramah. The Ramah would never say that this rises to Varshia Shematirin, but in the world of Mechaber, where he doesn't hold that something that becomes that has heter v'chozer.
I hear what you're saying. It's a very good answer, but then I still have a kasha, which is, then why didn't the Ramah argue on the Mechaber?
There. Why doesn't he argue there?
Yeah.
Yesh Mishomer, because it's Yesh Mishomer, so I think he thinks it's not. You're right. Maybe he would say, I don't know. Again,
You should say Anu Noagin Lahakel.
Yeah, that's a good point. So
you should say Anu Noagin Lahakel.
Yeah,
but okay, good answer. Very good answer. You hear everyone understand the answer? Joel said. It's a big yeah.
Should I do it again? This is, if you remember right.
Could you repeat, Joel?
Yeah. The opinion here, right? The Devar Sheyesh Lo Heter V'Chozer V'Ne'asar, right? Kigon Chames B'Pesach Lo Mikrei Devar Sheyesh Lo Matrim is only the Ramah. The Mechaber never says that. He's quoting the Mordechai there, right? So it's also not just the Ramah. It's a German tradition. It's not a tradition that maybe made its way into halacha per the Mechaber. And so for the Mechaber, this might actually the Oil Chanukah.
No, but it does. No. Well, that's the Shach's kasha. The Shach's kasha is, if the Mechaber over here, is paskin Yesh Mishomer by Chanukah, then you see that he learned that from the Maharam Rattenberg.
Yes, he did learn from the Maharam Rattenberg. That's true. So,
and therefore, why doesn't he say it in general?
Yeah. Okay. So my question goes back to its makom.
It's somehow a contradiction in that's the question that the Shach asked, by the way. Mm-hmm. But then he's trying to answer it by saying, well, it's because it's Rashi Yesh Lo Matirin. But also I want to point out, actually, I have another kasha. Go share the screen again.
Oh, okay. Let's go back to.
Sorry.
No worries.
This is really what I want to say. Look, I'm sorry. I think it's interesting. I mean, I hope you guys think it's interesting, but
all right.
Notice what he said. He said, if it fell into 60,
it is batel.
It would be batel, but it didn't fall into 60. But why should it be? Why should it be batel even there?
Yeah.
The only thing that we're machmir on is that we're not going to follow the halacha of Sadi Tet that you can mosif. But as far as being batel, for sure it's batel. So how can that's the stronger kasha that I had. How can the Magen Avram say it's because it's Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin? If it's a Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin, it wouldn't be batel even if it fell into 60 or 70. You hear me?
Yeah. I think you'd have to say it's Ked Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin instead of Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin.
It's what?
It's Kamo Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin, but it's not actually Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin. So we're machmir about adding, but we're not machmir, we don't.
Yeah, but I'm just pointing out. You see, that's a problem.
It's a huge problem. Yeah.
It's a huge problem. How can he say that you can't mosif? How can the Magen Avram explain it as because it's Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin? If it would be that it's a Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin, and that's why he's machmir, then he should have been machmir when we shouldn't have said here, highlight where it says that. Im nafal be.
It was no, but it was in the yeah. Kan Yishmi Shomer.
Oh, it's not here.
No, I don't think it says specifically. Well, the Ramat when the Mechaber says right, he says Oselo Medurav Sorfo Bifnei Atzmo.
No, the im nitarev here. Look, the im nitarev b'shemen acher ve'ein shishim levatlo. Just that part.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm medayek. If there is shishim, it's batel. But according to the Magen Avram, it's a davar sheyesh lo matirin. According to the Mechaber, even according to the Mechaber, it's a davar sheyesh lo matirin. According to the Magen Avram, because he doesn't hold like the Ramah. You're saying, says Joel.
Yeah.
But then why does if it's davar sheyesh lo matirin, then it wouldn't be batel in 60? It's a little pill pull.
Yeah.
But I'm just pointing out that.
Well, actually,
I'm trying to be smarter than the Magen Avram.
Yeah, what it really should have been. Oh, sorry, Reuven, do you have a hand?
Well, I'm not really sure if what I'm going to say is going to be significant because I'm not entirely sure I fully understand the problem. But is it possible that he holds that even though Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin is D'Rabbanan, it's almost quasi D'Oraita because in a case of Safek, we're still Machmir, which is unusual. So maybe that's why we're Machmir for Lahosif. I don't know because I'm lost. But that's all I was going to say.
Well, I think I have an answer here. This is maybe, right? It would be.
By the way, I have an answer, which is read the Machzida Shekel.
Oh, okay. Well, what's his answer? Maybe I'll try.
No. That's my answer. But you give your answer.
No, I think I'll see if I can make this work. If the Hanukkah falls into, let's say it's Shemen Zait, and it falls into Shemen Agozim, right? Then it would be Batel B'Shishim, right? If it fell into other,
not necessarily, we might call it Shemen B'Shemen.
Okay, let's pretend for a moment that is. I don't know,
okay.
Whatever it may be, right? What you could do, let's imagine it fell into more Shemen Zait, though. It wouldn't be Batel. When he says Shishim, what does he mean? It's just that case where it's not Batel. What I could do is that I could be Mosif Shemen Agozim on it, and then I could be Mevatel. That would work.
Because you have to add 60.
Yeah, you have to add 60, but mean b'shein amino. So I just dump it into my big vat of nut oil. And the Magen Avraham is saying you can't. That would be a way around Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin. He says maybe Yesh Lo Matirin.
No, but then why couldn't you? Then why shouldn't then the Beis Yosef should have allowed that?
Good. So maybe Yesh Lo Matirin. Some people say maybe doesn't. You can't get out of Yesh Lo Matirin by adding it to mean b'shein amino, right? To b'shein amino. You can't pull that off. We don't allow that as a workaround.
Well, that's a very interesting thing, which should be in our Siman if it's true.
Yeah, that's the problem. No one says it, so that's it doesn't.
But it should be in our Siman. It shouldn't be over by Hanukkah because nobody would expect you to make that assumption about his words. Yeah. Anyway, finish our Siman.
Okay, we'll finish. How are we doing on time? Yeah, we've got 3 minutes. All right, Max. Where were we? V'yesh cholkin. Okay, v'lo mikri.
Lo mikri.
Very end there.
All right, v'lo mikri davar sheyesh lo matirin ela im kain hutar l'misha ne'asar. אבל אם נשאר לאחד לעולם אסור, אף אגב שמותר לאחרים כגון המבשל בשבס, לא מקרי דבר שיש לו מתירין.
Mhm.
So it's only davar sheyesh matirin if it is going to become mutter for the one for whom it is now usher, or for the one for whom it was made usher. But if it will remain usher for literally anyone, that then you can have bittul. It's not davar sheyesh
So
matirin.
what's the Shabbos case of this?
The Shabbos case is someone cooked something on Shabbos and
It's an important word you're missing there. If you cook something on Shabbos,
accidentally.
no, not accidentally. But shogeg, you can eat it after Shabbos, right? Everybody.
Oh,
Amazing.
Because that's when it's usher for you and mutter for someone else, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
It's if you do a b'mezid, it's aser for you le'olam. That's the way we paskin, but it's mutar
Right.
for everybody else. That is not devar sheyesh matirin. So,
Right.
I was thinking the second case of this actually, which we saw recently, is if I had some chalev mixed into my soup, and then I was mevatel it, be'adayim, and that soup is now aser for me le'olam, but it's not. But it wouldn't be devar sheyesh matirim though, because there's no time thing that would make it mutar for everybody else. So yeah, so it was the Shabbos case. I think is really the classic case. So. Good. That's important, right? So in other words, it has to be get davar sheyesh matirin. It has to be mutar to everybody, not just mutar to some people over time. Okay. Rav Nachum, you have anything to close us out with or to add?
No, I'm matir you guys to end the class.
Thank you. Yesher koach, everybody. We'll be next week. Rav Nachum's doing the.
Yeah, we're gonna do 2 weeks for the next.
Okay,
Siman.
good.
So that I sent you. So we'll probably do primary sources first week, and then secondary sources the second. In other words, the Shulchan Aruch.
But Ra'ui Lager, that's the important thing, right? That the
Ra'ui Lager.
Ra'ui Lager.
Fit for war.
So, all right. I'll see you.
Rav Nachum, I got the French joke.
Yeah, but we came